I must say, 2025, what a year it has been. 2024, there was some optimism as to what my career would look like in the new year. My fitness goals, my career goals, everything was aligning. I was already planning on transitioning actually out of the government. And um, it wasn't until the administration came in along the March timeframe when things started to get dicey. I actually had a employer within Detroit that it was a full-time telework job where I'd be able to work from home and go to consortiums, do some really cool stuff, be a lead in one of their prominent projects. And the administration offered up a deferred resignation program, which was their way of reducing the workforce within the government. And so me knowing that I was naturally going to transition out of the government into a more DoD contractor role and kind of play that part external of the government as a civilian, I thought it was a natural way of slowly transitioning out of the government. The appeal there was that I would no longer work in March. And once I got a job and started the job, then I can quit the government and then leave. So naturally, my employer would give me maybe a month and I could go traveling to Asia and do all these things. I saw it as a great opportunity to take time off and just decompress. But what ended up happening was the administration cut a lot of the funding of different programs. And unfortunately, the company that I was going to transition into got their program cut that they wanted me to transition to. And so that left me in a dilemma. He promised that they would somehow be able to accrue the funds in order for me to get hired by them, but that didn't necessarily pan out. There was some false promises. He wasn't able to deliver on his word. I even had paperwork ready for me to start, but it just did not happen. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to happen. And so I had to find a different way. And it left me in a very vulnerable position because honestly, I've never been in a position where I never had a job and was looking for a job. It's always like I had a job. Now let's see if I could transition somewhere else. So the new year, as you can tell, just kind of started with a lot of uncertainty. And the way that I look at it, there's a song by Andy Mineo on his newest album called The And he says, sometimes things don't happen to you. Sometimes things happen for you. And I started thinking about that as the year is kind of coming to the close. And, there was some changes that I was going to make, but it wasn't as drastic as leaving the government with no job and having to go out into the workforce. And of course, a tough workforce where a lot of jobs are being cut, and try to fend for myself and try to find a job. But some things happen for you. I think what happened for me was to put myself in an uncomfortable position. What it really allowed for me to do, and I'll tell you a little bit about my successes here later, is it really allowed me to get out of my comfort zone. I'm so accustomed to working for the government. There's job security there. There's a pension. It's hard to get fired. I mean, there's consistent work and projects, and I've been doing it for 15 years. So I could speak the lingo. I could talk the talk and walk the walk. Well, with me no longer having a job and the deferred resignation program basically offering you a severance until September, I had to find something by September. And I soon started realizing as I was applying for jobs that it was really hard, right? I had so many interviews, yet they would ghost me. And when I say by so many, probably like 6 within a 4-month time frame. For me, I had this vision of myself that I am just this very competent person who has the experience companies need, and it wouldn't necessarily be hard for me. And so naturally, I was thinking this would be, I could have fun in this time off. I can enjoy my free time. But with a September date looming, And the way that hiring and interviews goes, it takes quite a while. So I wasn't necessarily able to relax. I was always on a sense of urgency. I was always scouring for jobs, applying for jobs, thinking of ways I can increase my skill set. And I kind of had to find a way to distract myself. Um, Naturally, I've always been doing workouts. And so the workouts that I started in the previous year carried over to this year. So I was able to allot a lot of time for working out. But then I started doing vlogs. I think being able to expound on ideas, express myself, work on speaking in front of the camera instead of having an interactive audience, I think really helped me, because as I was moving forward, and I soon realized that it is going to be tough to find a job. It's just so hard, you know. I'm competing with so many people who did the same thing that I did. And I've heard a lot of engineers not having a job for a year. And like I said, I felt like I was competent, but I started feeling that pressure, like, oh man, this is going to take a while. I feel like I'm competent, but there's just, the expertise is varied. It's wide breadth, but there's just so much competition. And so to get my mind off of it, I just started just expanding my skill sets, training, but also the biggest thing was speaking in front of a camera and just continuing to work my mind, maybe not in a technical sense, but a theoretical sense, like a critical thinking sense, like just expounding, free flowing, like sharing my ideas. And it's been a full year, and I felt like I've gotten better at it, and I've learned a lot about myself. And it's translated to having a lot of soft skills and communication skills to be able to speak to people. So I encourage anybody to get out of their comfort zone, do public speaking, like learn how to communicate, I think is going to be a huge asset. But the reason why I bring up this part of my growth area is because my mentor, as I was looking for a job, we were trying to find ways that I can accrue money in case there was a rainy day, in case I wasn't able to find something by September and I was unemployed. So he offered me to talk to a college at Mount San Jacinto College. He also had point of contacts at UCSD. And because I worked with my mentor training people within the command, he thought that I could monetize it within, universities. Lo and behold, I got in. I was able to start at Mount San Jacinto College in September, teaching the fall semester, Intro to Engineering. And then I'm also creating a course for January at UCSD Extended Studies, where I'm teaching more advanced courses in digital engineering and AI. And so as you can see, things just started morphing. It wasn't what I expected. My expectation when I started the year is just continuity outside of the government, get paid a little bit more, work at these fun consortiums, international councils, and be invested within the community and the discipline. But as you may know, expectations are the easiest way for you to be impatient and be disappointed. Around that time frame as well, I'm also interviewing for companies. I had one company, I had a 3-hour interview. I thought they were going to pick me, and then they just didn't pick me. And I think I was learning through it all because I've never really had to do significant interviews. Most of my employers who hired me were pitched the idea of hiring me from a lot of people that I've known. Hey, I know this guy, Randy is a great worker. Looks like you have a position. Just talk to him. And, it was an easy way of getting a job. But having to expound on your skill sets, answer tough questions, kind of be put in tough situations to be able to think critically, it was new to me. And initially, on my initial aspects of my interviews, it was funny because I was almost like showing off, like I really wanted to expound on my skill set and show that I was competent. But I would say there was kind of an air of arrogance. I was really good, but I felt like there wasn't that humble aspect to it. Now, the reason why I say that, the 3-hour interview, the PM really liked me, but I think the technical workers who interviewed me didn't like me. And in the same token, I asked for $20K more than that they were offering, and the PM was willing to give it, but I think his boss wasn't able to give it. And it put me in a hole because, that would have been a sure shot if I would have practiced humility. And that was a tough lesson to learn because I probably would have gotten employed by maybe the May timeframe and not have to think about the whole September cutoff. So then I started having to really retool my approach to interviews. And as I was really ruminating over it, I was like, you got to show humility. And sometimes when I interview, I say more than I should. I need to keep it very succinct and keep it very deliberate. And that was something that I learned, is being succinct, being deliberate, asking the questions, as well as being patient and humble. And so I worked on that with two companies, and they actually wanted to hire me and they provided me offers. And now I'm skipping across all the disappointing times, but the lessons I've learned there, humility is a key aspect to life in general. Quiet confidence is key. If you're trying to boast and brag, it rubs people the wrong way and it shows a little bit more insecurities than you truly have. And I think my insecurities came about because when you get rejected time and time again, it kind of eats not only, you could call it ego, but it eats at your self-confidence, because I had so much confidence in myself, getting so many awards within the government, like getting all these accolades, being praised. And then for me to go into a situation where I'm looking for a job and I just get rejected, ghosted, rejected. That was tough. I feel like I've grown calluses from being rejected so many times, which makes you stronger. But when you're going through it, you start questioning to yourself, am I actually a competent employee? And there were a few friends, not friends, but acquaintances, colleagues that wanted to hire me. One wasn't able to follow through with their word, unfortunately. The other one lost a project, didn't follow through on their word. And this other one, I'm not trying to name names, but everybody knows who this person is. If you're in the social media, if you're in the YouTube culture, like influencer culture, everybody knows who this person is. So the chief technology officer reached out to me one day and provided me this opportunity with this influencer that I didn't know about. So I tell some of the baristas in Starbucks that I talk to, the younger generation, they're like, oh my gosh, you need to get that job. That's life-changing. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me study about it. And next thing you know, I'm looking at the amount of subscribers this person has and streams. And I'm like, okay. So again, this was a close friend of mine since 2012. More of an acquaintance, but every time we talk, it's like we're buddies. And offered me a job, talked about my expertise, and I think this is where the difference lied. And kind of regret having expounded a little bit too much again. That's kind of like my problem. It's a tech job, and I've always been contractor or civilian in the DoD. And the way the tech industry works, they're a little bit more, they take on risk a lot more. The government's more risk averse, but tech fields, they fail fast, and come up with solutions a lot quicker. They adopt risk and they're willing to be innovative and technologically sound and really push the boundaries of engineering. And a lot of what I expounded upon as they were coming up with their new infrastructure to support these plethora of data centers that they were trying to put out, I started proposing different ideas on how I would engineer it. And it's a very robust way of engineering, and I think he may have got turned off by it because it's just not how the tech field does it. I probably should have asked more questions. I probably should have researched a little bit more, but of course, with my knowledge and expertise, I want to be able to share it and see if we can work together. But I think he started to see aspects of my experience that may not be amenable to working within the tech industry. And he kept promising me I'd get on site, never happened. He kept promising me that he would get back to me, nothing. Promise. And I had to come to the realization after having this done to me the third time that he's promising, but you got to read the signs and you got to detach. You can't keep holding on to hope. I mean, I left the door open. I was very candid with the person in a very respectful manner that, hey, it seems as if our conversation may have turned you off. If there's any other opportunities in the future, just give me a call. But I guess that's just the name of the game. The culture is ghosting. A lot of people don't want to, maybe confront's not a good word, but a lot of people don't want to be honest with people and have to go through the tough conversations, and whether it's dating or whether it's relationships and whether it's the workplace and trying to find a job, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, that's the culture we live in now. So it was frustrating. But I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit and come to the present here. So one, I was able to establish a good vlog channel and just learning, looking at different cameras, looking at different angles, narrating, editing. And as I was editing in Final Cut Pro, now that my classes in the universities are asynchronous online and I'm teaching online where I record videos and the students watch it, and then they do the homework on their own time, then I grade it, so it's very asynchronous. It was easy for me to start filming videos and editing it, and the material just came naturally to me speaking in front of the camera. And if it wasn't for the 7 or 8 months of me just distracting myself, but also it was also a skill set that proved valuable come September when the fall semester hit. So that was very eye-opening to me, is like happenstance or universe or God, but things just aligned naturally to where my skill sets were able to be utilized at the right time. And I thought that was so cool. And I'm enjoying being a teacher as my part-time gig, because you get a lot of feedback from students, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. The biggest thing is if they learn, like I was grading final exams. I was so proud of my students. Like they exemplified the discipline and the lessons that were learned within a final project. Some people, the project basically is to come up with their own solution to a problem using an engineering design process, and providing me solutions, brainstorming and analysis, final design, conclusion, just to solve something in the world. Some people actually created something, like they actually created a solar panel for their gate in a rural area where there's no lights and animals going everywhere. Rather than getting out of their car, they want to be able to have a sustainable electrical opening gate, so that they wouldn't have to go through the hassle of manually opening it. Another person did like a 3D CAD model and used 3D printing to create organization for his eyeglasses. Another guy made like a dog feeder or a dog water feeder for his dog, so when it got empty, it would just naturally fill on its own. And I was super proud of them, and it gave me a sense of accomplishment to know that they're learning and they can take those skills to wherever they want to go, and I saw some really all-stars there, people who can really succeed. Unfortunately, they didn't have as much drive and cut corners here and there, but I could see the skill set, and hopefully anything that they've learned from me, they can take on moving forward. But being able to teach the next generation, I think, was really cool. But another thing is my physical fitness. I didn't wane, I didn't stop. And I just started doing basketball, I started doing running, a lot of weight training, eating healthy, taking all my supplements, and I see the gains. I know people probably, a lot of my social media friends are probably tired of me showing my abs and my gains in my body, but I'm really proud of myself. I think, you guys could read the Mel Robbins Let Them theory, but I'm going to do me, and I'm going to let them maybe be jealous or think negatively of me, but I'm just proud of the gains that I've done, and I'm proud of the hard work that I put in. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of hard work. I'm not boasting. I'm just really happy that I'm at a point now where I'm healthy and I'm not ashamed of my body, kind of growing up with a body dysmorphic disorder and kind of having an inferiority complex. Like, to grow out of that and be empowered and be comfortable in my skin was huge for me. And so I worked on that. I also did like a little road trip on the Pacific Coast Highway for a month. I have another vlog for it. It came with its own set of issues. Um, I was trying to do the PCH for 7 days to go from California all the way up to Washington State, and then making a pit stop at Mount Shasta and then coming down. But of course, with any road trip, you come into issues like my tires decided to get worn in the rear, so I had issues with that. I had to find a tire shop within nowhere, in no man's land. And then I have like a sports performance vehicle, so now it has to be spec'd right, and I need to go to a import shop, and they have to have all the tools, so it was really expensive. Yeah, and it's just I almost got into a car crash once because this car was tailing me, and I was really trying to go speedy. I have a convertible, and I guess I downshifted wrong into the wrong gear and started revving really high. I think I went from like fourth gear to second gear, and then I just started fishboning. And luckily, I was able to get a hold of the wheel. And I was in the middle of the nowhere again, and I'm like, man, I really got to be careful. Like there was just so many um, things that came about. Like I literally had to camp out for 4 days in a campsite, and then I had to buy a tent and everything because I wasn't planning on staying at campsites, and rough it for like 4 or 5 days while I waited for tires to come in, and I made the most out of it. And I think being in those uncomfortable positions really helped me grow. But it also helped me appreciate nature. The purpose of me riding the Pacific Coast Highway was to detach from interviewing, from to detach from just this sense of urgency of trying to find a job. And yes, there were some struggles, but I was able to overcome them, and it gave me more confidence. In the same token, I have a convertible. I put the top down, and I just enjoyed the scenery. I enjoyed just the beautiful, from the redwoods, looking at the huge redwoods, or looking at these waterfalls, or looking at the scenery, looking at the landscapes. Like it was just so beautiful. And you know, living in America, being able to travel just this beautiful West Coast, it was just amazing. And having this time really helped to be able to take my time instead of just rushing through it. And it was huge. Just going to Mount Shasta, like jumping into this ice cold water, like exploring different hikes, going up to Washington State, seeing my cousins, hiking a lot of hikes over there as well, making detours. It was fun. It was a blast. It was stressful. It was all of that in one. And recommend if you really want to get out of your comfort zone and learn more about yourself and grow, definitely go with an open mind on road trips, knowing that things will fail, but knowing that you can overcome. And the people and the food, people were so welcoming. Looking at different walks of life, different people, getting out of the regular day to day, and having a refreshing outlook on how other people live their life, I think was eye opening to me. And just trying really, really good food. I probably lost a few gains. Luckily, my gains came back once I started getting back into shape. But yeah, the Pacific Coast Highway was a treat. Now, currently, I was offered two jobs, thankfully, when I was on the PCH. So funny thing is, as I detached, and I think I was in San Francisco at the time, I just got off of the Alcatraz Island, and I stayed at a little area not too far from the Fisherman's Wharf. And I got a call from two companies. And it was funny, out of sight, out of mind. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, unbeknownst to me, I got two really good offers paying the amount that I really wanted. They were able to meet me at that. Unfortunately, both of them weren't necessarily what I want to do, but I was talking to my mentor. Sometimes you got to take something, I know janitor job's not a good word, but something in the interim to relieve the pressure of having to find something before September, and just working that for a year, and learning what you need to learn and move forward, because I honestly was desperate. Like I was applying to DC. I had some interviews in DC. I was applying to like New York, like Florida. I'm not done with San Diego. I love it, San Diego, but I had to find a job because I need to be able to sustain myself. And I was a little bit worried that I wasn't able to do that. But funny thing is, when I detached, those companies called me. I ended up going with another company. I ended up going with the first company that called me because the second company would be working in Egypt, Cairo, Egypt. A lot of travel, but with the bombing in the Middle East, probably wasn't the safest with all the terrorist threats. So I got the job, and it's in Rancho Bernardo. It's a classified job, but it pays the bills. And um, right now, I'm really in a happy place. I think what I've learned is you can't expect. If you would have told me that I would be teaching at two universities, get out of the government, and had been unemployed for 5, 6 months, after having been fully and gainfully employed for 15 years within a conservative DoD environment, I would have thought you were crazy because that's just so left field. But yeah, it's shown me a lot of who I am and what I'm capable of. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for me personally. And again, some things happen to you, but some things happen for you. And I feel like with everything that happened, it had to happen with the administration doing what they needed to do. And this happened for me so I can grow and push the limits and really see what I'm capable of. And I'm more confident knowing that, hey, I can operate, whether it's in a DoD environment, whether it's more of a fast-paced environment, whether I need to use more of my social skills, whether I'm teaching, I can pivot. I can deal with tough problems within the real world and thrive. And that's something that I've proved to myself. And so it's been an interesting year. It's been a great year. It's hard to really fathom and characterize right now, but I wanted to film this just as a way of reminding me that things can happen in an instant. The normalcy of life comes and goes, and you got to cherish each and every moment and stay in the present. And so that's basically my story for this year.